Hello and welcome to Conway Video. So I wanted to do a video about positive motivation, self-motivation, positive thinking, and basically in the context of making work fun, making work enjoyable. There's, I guess, an idea that is understandable that work by its nature can't be fun. Work by its nature, we call it work literally because it is work. It's not fun. It's not pleasant. It's not play. Um, I think I do disagree with that. I've been working for a long time, probably about 15 years, and I kind of do disagree with that. I'm not one of those people necessarily who jumps out of bed every morning and absolutely jumps for joy and yells at the sky and then goes off and works. But I'm also not necessarily one of those people who gets up every morning dreading work. I'd say like most mornings I get up feeling kind of pretty happy, pretty comfortable, pretty okay with everything, and then I just go about and do my daily tasks. But I found over time that work has gotten more fun and more enjoyable and more pleasant. And it's gotten to the point that I wouldn't say every day is perfectly fun, but every day I expect to either have some fun, have a good time, or to find a way to make the next day better, make the next day more fun. And so, I think work is having fun at work is really important. Actually, I don't think it's the case that the main thing is to slave away and do whatever people tell you to do, and then your fun and your enjoyment is secondary. I absolutely don't think that's the case. I think it's more the opposite, where it's very important for you to enjoy the job and for me to enjoy the job, because in the short run that might not seem so important, but I think in the long run it's important, because in the long run that's what enables us to sustain careers, to keep them going. If there's something that you do every day that's unpleasant, that you don't want to do, then you're going to find it really hard to keep doing that thing consistently day in, day out. I mean, unless there's some kind of dictator or something yelling at you, constantly making you do that, you're probably going to just over time just kind of let it slip and end up not doing it. And so this is why I think it's important to try and make work fun, because if we can make work fun, work is the thing we're doing every day, work is the thing we're doing on a regular basis and putting a lot of time into. If we can make that fun, then that means a lot more of life becomes fun, and it also means we'll probably do better at our jobs and probably sustain the work better, and just have a bit more energy during the day. So making work fun, I think, matters, and here's where I think there are a few ways that you can go about it. Now, one way is tools. Looking at what tools you use to do the work and seeing if you can make little tweaks, little changes that just make those tools easier to work with. I can give you a couple of really simple examples. So one is, as a developer, I use IDEs a lot, and one IDE I use is Visual Studio Code, and I also happen to be using a MacBook, and the MacBook has one of those touch bars, so it's a bit tricky for me to hit the F12 key, which anyone who's used VS Code knows what F12 is for and why it's so important. And so that F12 key is very important to me. So what did I do to get around that? Well, I made a new key mapping, which is Command and one of the little characters keys on the top row next to the number pad, or next to the number row. So anyway, it doesn't really matter a whole lot which one I chose, but the point is I made a keyboard shortcut that was very easy and convenient and quick to replace that F12 key, and now I can go into that F12 anytime function that anytime I want, and it's quick, and I don't need to press this clumsy kind of command or function key, and use the touch bar. I've just got this one key combination that's really quick, and that's just made my workday more fun. Now it's just easy and quick, and it just feels smooth and natural. And so you can do this as well. Anything that you need to do commonly in your IDE or your text editor, you could add a keyboard shortcut that just makes that thing more easy. And it's not just about being faster. Like when I look at actual productivity, it probably increases my productivity by maybe that much. But when I look at fun and enjoying my workday, I kind of enjoy my workday when I don't have to hunt and pick around in the keyboard, but I can just hit the shortcut and just get it done, and it's easy. Another example, it's actually a bit of a strange one, and it's not quite related to work, but most of us brush our teeth every day, right? And we do that because we want good dental hygiene and good health ultimately. But brushing your teeth, I would say it's one of those things. It's probably a little bit more fun than washing the dishes, and probably not much more fun than, I don't know, changing the oil in the car. So it's just not very fun. So I kind of thought, how do I make this more fun? And I thought, hey, why not invest a little bit of money, maybe like a couple of £100, and get an electric toothbrush? And this is a really nice one. You could see it's a Braun, and it's a really nice quality piece of equipment, and it's got these like fancy lights on it, and it's got Bluetooth and all kinds of features that I don't really need. But at the end of the day, it's just pleasant. It's a pleasant device to use. It's got a nice, enjoyable sort of grip, sort of to grip onto, and it's just a really pleasant device to use. And so, just having that nice electric toothbrush means that it's much more enjoyable every day to brush my teeth than it would be if I used like a regular manual toothbrush and had to like put all that elbow grease into it and muscle into it. So, that's another example where I put a bit of money on the table in order to get a tool that has basically made my life quality of life quite a bit higher, because it's something I'm doing every day, and it's just more fun to do it with a nice device that does it for me. So like those are a couple of examples, and then there are other things that we have to do that maybe tools aren't so amenable for. And so, every job has its little peculiarities, and some jobs, there's something you have to do that's repetitive or annoying, or maybe there's something also that's not straightforward. It's a bit ambiguous, like, say, people, right? We have to have meetings and we meet new people and we don't know what they want, and it's an ambiguous situation, and everyone's kind of finds it a little bit tricky and awkward. But then we can use a bit of positive psychology here to try and make this more fun. And what I tend to ask myself is, how can I get good at this thing, right? First, I admit I'm not really good at this, whatever it is. Maybe it's like doing a bit of like, I don't know, data modeling. Maybe it's like using a spreadsheet. Maybe it's using some weird arcane kind of corporate tool. Maybe it's like doing compliance, or maybe it's doing mandatory training. Maybe it's just like some sort of team situation. Maybe it's whiteboarding. I really hate whiteboarding, but I have to do it as part of my job. And so then I think, instead of thinking, oh, I hate this thing and I can't wait for it to stop and I can't wait for, to not have to do this thing anymore, I tend to think, well, okay, this is a part of my job. This is part of what's expected of me. That I was hired as, maybe a developer or engineer or whatever. But really, that job isn't just sitting down writing code. There's a lot more to that job. And so this extra thing that they're asking me to do, this is part of my job. This is part of what it means to be a developer. And this is part of what I need to be good at, and that means that I should get good at this. I should acknowledge that I'm not, perfectly crash hot at this thing, but I'm going to get better. I'm going to take this as an opportunity, right? So it's an opportunity for me to get better at something that I wasn't good at before. And then at the end of that engagement, or at the end of doing that thing a few times, I then can feel positive and happy, because I can feel, oh, I got good at this. I got a new skill in life that I didn't have before. Maybe it's whiteboarding, and you practice and practice and practice and get really good at drawing nice, clean, straight lines on the whiteboard, and you impress everyone. And that's a plus, because now you have a new skill. You have a whiteboarding skill. Now you can go into other jobs and, whoop-de-doo, there's a whiteboard. Oh, I might as well show off my whiteboarding prowess, and you can draw a really nice diagram and impress your colleagues. So, like, these are things that at first they look like, oh, this isn't in my job description. I shouldn't be being asked to do this. I don't want to do this. I can't wait to not have to do this. But you can turn it around and turn it into, actually, I really want to do this thing. This is exciting. This is fun. This is a new skill. And every day that you're sucking at it, you're thinking, great, I've learned what my problems are. I'm getting better at this thing. I'm going to get a new skill soon. In fact, it's almost better the harder it is, or the trickier or the messier it is, right? It's almost better, because it means that when you finally do get good at that thing, you're going to have a real advantage in the job market. You're going to have a real advantage, going into future jobs. You're going to have not just the job market. I mean, you're just going to have a new life skill that you didn't have before. Next time you're sitting down with your kids and trying to explain something, whoa, I can actually whiteboard this for my kids, and this is going to be like way more useful for them than trying to tell them, verbally. And so all these things I think of as like life skills and opportunities for improvement. Like, if everything always worked perfectly and flawlessly in the world, life would be really easy. But on the other hand, there wouldn't be much of a challenge. There wouldn't be much to get good at. There wouldn't be much room for improvement. And so the fact that sometimes things in your job aren't good, or aren't easy to work with, or people aren't easy to work with, that can be really taken as a positive. That can be seen as, okay, this is something I can do to improve my skills, to level up my game, to add something new to my resume. And I don't have to get good at it all at once. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. You can just do it a little bit one day, a little bit the next day, a little bit the next day. Maybe you even just spend a little bit one day a week on it. You know, whatever you do, you just make small incremental progress. You gradually get better at that thing. And at the end of it, you've got something really good to look back on. And even during the process, you're feeling really good. You're feeling positive. You're feeling like, I'm getting better at this thing. So I guess to summarize, the idea of this whole video is that I try to think positive when there's something difficult in work and life, and I try and think of firstly, I try and find a tool, improve the tool, or find a better tool to do the job if the tools that I'm using aren't working. And that's the example of the toothbrush. And then the next thing, I guess the second thing is I try to take this as a way to improve myself. So this is like, okay, this thing is really hard. This person is really hard. This situation is really hard, whatever it is. And I think, well, okay, this is an opportunity for me to get good at this thing. And then sometime in the future, because I got good at this thing now, in the future, I'll be able to use that goodness, whatever it is, I'll be able to use that skill or that ability. So yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching.